Well, hello there, my bookish friends. Welcome back to the Chronicles for Reader. And I am the aforementioned reader, Varsha. I'm so delighted to have you all here. So today is April 2nd, which means the Orilium Readathon, the Spring Equinox edition of 2025, has officially begun. And yes, I have started reading my books for the Readathon since yesterday, but I didn't get the opportunity to film a proper TBR video yet, so better late than never, and I'm just putting it out there now. I've finally gotten a considerably quiet afternoon to film. Sometimes there might be disturbances, just a disclaimer. I do not control the neighborhood I live in. But yes, let's just directly get into it without much exposition. So I have my reading journal here, and I made a very extremely basic spread for this semester, and yeah, it's like very basic, but it has all the important stuff that I need to know, especially for this video since I cannot keep it all in my head. So a quick introduction on my character. Her name is Rigzin, and she's an elf from Eartheria because I love elves. And yeah, that continent is the one that seems the coolest to me in all of Aldea, is it? That's the name of the, like, world as a whole, right? My god, I'm forgetting details. But yes, this is my 4th year at the Academy, Orilium, but it's only my 2nd readathon that I'm actively participating in according to the time limit within the month that it's announced in. I have completed all the previous readathons in my own time across the course of the last year and the one before that. But yes, this spring equinox readathon is my 2nd one. I have vlogs from the autumn readathon up on my channel. If you're interested in that, you can check it out. But yes, this readathon, I only need to complete 4 prompts for my character to pass the semester, and her calling is a mage hunter, which is one of the coolest professions I saw in the brochure, so I picked that one up. And yeah, I need to pass elemental studies, spells and incantations, conjuration, and restoration. And also the additional guild book club. I belong to the House of the Arcane, and our book club pick for this semester is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. So I don't have the physical copy of that one, which means I'm just gonna be reading it digitally, which is fine with me. I've gotten into digital reading quite a lot since last year, and I'm no longer finding it as intolerable as I once did. But yes, so Blood Over Brighthaven is basically a dark academia book, which is a genre that I really love and I need to be reading more of. And it's set in this city called Tiran, which is like walled off from the rest of the world, which has been encroached upon by this mysterious phenomenon called the blight. And whatever the blight touches, it basically destroys. And Tiran is, according to the knowledge of the people there, it's like the last remaining bastion of humanity, and they live there, and it's like a very steampunk-like world almost. There's like a lot of industrial revolution-like stuff going on, lots of factories, lots of mechanized devices. It's, yeah, quite cool, I guess. And we follow our main character, Siona, who is the first woman ever to pass this like really difficult exam and be admitted into the High Magistry, which is like their top level bureaucratic organization, and she's the first woman to ever be part of that. This world is extremely patriarchal. Like, it's kind of like similar to our world in some ways. Like, the patriarchy isn't like medieval time period like that. Women still do hold some positions in society, like there are teachers and low-level professors and researchers, but no one has ever qualified to that top-level position yet. And so she's the first one to do it. And the people she's working with at this High Magistry are not a fan of that. They don't like that a woman has become part of their elite organization, and kind of like in a way to mock her, instead of giving her a proper research assistant, they just assign her a janitor who works there. And yeah, she has to like deal with horrible workplace misogyny and prove that she is deserving of her position, because otherwise why would she even be there? But this janitor, his name is Thomil, he's also hiding, well, I don't know if he's hiding a secret past, I'm not sure, but yeah, he doesn't belong to the city. He used to be part of one of the nomadic tribes which live beyond the protection of the barrier that protects the city, and he is the last surviving member of his community who all died because of this blight, I presume. As they work together, they confront each other's like prejudices about the other people's community, and it has a lot of conversations on racism, cultural assimilation, and obviously misogyny and patriarchy. And I think it delves into more stuff like that. They're all themes that I'm super interested in, and this book is totally up my alley, so I'm really excited that this got selected as our guild book club. Though this time I am equally excited about all the books that got selected for the book club picks. Like, I think all of them are cool. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. So I've already started reading that. I got up to the 13% mark yesterday, and I have got to say, it's exactly like how I imagined it. So cool. I'm really looking forward to continuing with it. On to the rest of the books for my individual prompts for the subject. So Elemental Studies, the prompt was a book with a fruit on the cover. And most people are going for the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, but I wasn't really feeling it. So instead, I picked up Dragon Fruit by Makia Lucia for this prompt. And again, I don't have the physical copy, so I'm reading it digitally. Haven't started it yet. Well, as soon as I finish Blood Over Bright Haven. But yes, it's based on Polynesian mythology, which I'm like really interested in. It's very refreshing to have books from mythologies which aren't really represented in the current publishing industry. So that's like the main reason I had this book on my radar, but then the plot also sounds super cool. We're set on this island called Tamarind, and our main character, Hanale's family, is like a very prominent, wealthy family on the island. But then one day her father steals dragon fruit. So in this world, a dragon fruit is basically the egg of a sea dragon. But yes, he steals that, which has like healing properties, but it was meant for the heir to the throne on the island. And so he stole that, which leads to like their entire family being exiled, I guess. And for the past decade or so, she has been living out on the ocean somewhere away from the island. And meanwhile, on the island, we follow a prince who is also Hanale's childhood best friend, and he is the grandson of the current ruler. And the royal family is facing a dilemma because the current ruler, his grandmother, is like nearing the end of her life, I guess. And the heir to the throne, the crown princess, his mother is the one who's like been chronically ill for the past decade after not getting the dragon fruit. And so now he has a lot of pressure on himself to marry someone so that she can be the ruler, I guess, because this community on this island, it's like a matriarchal society, and so he can't be the ruler because he's a boy. So yeah, I guess when Hanale comes back after encountering a sea dragon who, I don't know, tells her to go back. I don't know the plot entirely, but yes, she returns back, and then the prince, his name, it's a very long name, but it's shortened to Sam, which I don't like. Why is he called Sam? I wish it was some other abbreviation, but yes, Sam and Hanale. So he sees that his friend has returned, and this is a good opportunity to have, like, I guess they do a marriage of convenience. I'm not sure. That's the plot, and it sounds really fun and interesting, and I'm really excited to read it. And it has a dragon fruit on the cover. In this fantasy world, it is a sea dragon egg, but you know, it looks like our real world dragon fruit, and the title is dragon fruit, so technically it has fruit on the cover because, you know, the title does fruit. I guess I'm slightly bending the rules, but this is supposed to be a chill readathon. It's fine, whatever. Then the next prompt is for the subject spells and incantations. That is a word from your last book title. So at the time when I was making my TBR, the last book that I had read was The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. So I took the word power, and for that I picked up Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I mean, it's not like an individual word, but it's part of the word in the title, so it still works, okay? It works. And this, I mean, I don't need to introduce this book. It's like a book talk darling. Like, everyone has been talking about it in the past 2 years. I think the third book is about to be released soon, or has it already been? But yeah, this series is very famous. I picked this up again around the time of its release, and I haven't read it, so might as well jump on the hype wagon and see what it is all about. The plot goes like this. So we are set in this society, this country called Elia, which has been divided into 2 sections. So we have the elites who have some form of magical powers, and then we have the ordinary who are just that. They're ordinary, they don't have powers. And the ordinaries have been exiled from the kingdom, and they're like ostracized and shunned. And our main character, what's her name? Payden. Yeah, Payden is an ordinary. However, she is pretending to be a psychic and using her cold reading skills to, fake that she has psychical abilities and make everyone think that she is an elite. But one day she has a run-in with one of the princes of the kingdom, and somehow she ends up drafted into this Hunger Games-like competition called the Trials, and she has to make it out of the trials alive, and then she might win something, but at the very least she has to preserve her life and make sure that no one knows that she is an ordinary. And I guess she develops a romance with the prince, because this is a romantic fantasy, right? So that will obviously happen. So yes, we have Powerless, and because this is my own copy, shocking, most of the books I read are borrowed. But yeah, since this is my own copy, I can finally try a hand at annotating, which is something that I've been really interested in doing for a while. Obviously with a pencil. I am not brave enough to attempt it with a pen or highlighters just yet. Next prompt that we have is for conjuration, and that is use a random country generator for the author. You can do it 5 times. And the countries that I got were Papua New Guinea, Brazil, UAE, and Turkey. And then the 5th country that I got was South Korea, and that's the country I picked the book from. And for that I have Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookstore by Hang Borum. And I picked this because I don't have any physical books from any of the other countries, and I do want to read more of the books on my physical TBR, so I wasn't gonna pick up a digital book from the other countries. And this was just sitting there. It's a borrowed book from my friend who I have to return these books to soon, somewhat soon. So yeah, I need to get to this anyway, so I just used it for the prompt. And okay, I didn't actually get South Korea for the 5th country, okay? I kept like clicking the country generator until I got South Korea, because I just wanted to read this book. I bent the rules a little. It's fine. It's all right. You can do that. This is supposed to be chill, is what I keep telling myself. But anyway, this book, it sounds really lovely, extremely cozy. We follow our main character, this woman called Yongju, and she is feeling extremely burnt out. Her entire life is falling apart, and she has to get away from the corporate world. So she moves to this quaint neighborhood in the capital city, Seoul, and she decides to follow a lifelong dream of hers, which is to start a bookshop. And this bookstore becomes a kind of like community meeting place for the people there, and everyone, including her, gets healed. Spending time with each other within the bookstore, the healing power of books, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if this is slow-paced. It has to be, right? But I'm really in the mood for a book set in a bookstore with all the cozy, comforting vibes. It would be a really, really fun read. So yeah, that's my 3rd book. Or is it 4th? Excluding the Guild Book Club, the 3rd one. And now for the final book, and that is for Restoration, with the prompt, a book with a 4+ star average rating on any book logging platform. I use the Goodreads rating, But yeah, this one is like the prompt with the most leeway, because there's gonna be at least like 5 to 10 books on your bookshelves which fall within this. 4+ stars is not such a narrow constraint. For this prompt, I picked Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, and this has an average rating of 4.26 on Goodreads. And this was the author's debut that came out in 2020, I think, and since then they have become extremely popular in the YA circles. And once again, this is a borrowed book, need to return it to my friend, so it's a pretty urgent read that I have to get off my physical TBR. But yes, in this book we follow our main character Yadriel, and he belongs to a very traditional Latinx family, but because it is a fantasy too, they are all brujex. So here's a little kind of tangent. Lots of people, actual Latin American people, are not very comfortable with the term Latinx, or like, the gender neutral form of those nouns being X. And many have suggested using E instead, so Latine, and because that flows off the tongue better and it doesn't sound like a mangling of the language. And yeah, I personally prefer the E neuter term too, but since the author has used these terms within the book, I will be saying it that way too, even though it makes my tongue cramp up every time I try to say it. But yes, Yadriel belongs to a family of brujex, who, brujo and brujas, they're like witches. But in this book, they can see spirits, and some of them can heal the living. It's like they straddle the line between the living and the dead. So their duties include, well, like herding spirits off into the afterlife, placating them, and if they become violent and malignant, then to basically like finish them off and save people from their attacks. So yeah, so Yadriel is a young trans boy, and he has come out to all of his community, but the problem is they have very strict gender roles within their community, especially when it comes to the magic practice. So most of his community isn't able to accept him for who he is, and that obviously makes life pretty miserable for him. They're not outright, hostile and transphobic, but sometimes they do slip up, and they also deny him his right to have this rite of passage ceremony that all 15-year-olds in their community do, because, well, he doesn't seem to fit into either of the assigned categories. But he knows he's a brujo, and he wants to prove them all wrong by doing the ceremony on his own, along with his best friend and cousin Maritza. And after that, he goes on to summon a spirit and then send it to the afterlife to, complete the ceremony and prove that he is a brujo and has those powers. But then, well, he succeeds. The problem is they were trying to summon their cousin Miguel, who was recently deceased, but instead of Miguel, he summons another spirit, and that happens to be the resident bad boy of his school, Julian. And then that's a problem, because now they're just stuck with this irritating boy who is also a dead spirit, and they are nowhere near close to finding out how their cousin died. This book is kind of like a mystery thriller in that regard. They have to like solve how he died, and also how this Julian died, because he also doesn't know how he died. So they go around doing that, and along the way, I guess his community will come to terms with who he really is and be more accepting, because that's the direction that this book should head in, right? So yeah, we have that book, Cemetery Boys, and I'm really excited to read it. I have reached up to page 71 already, started reading this yesterday too. And it's like really easy to read. I like the writing style. It is just the right amount of descriptive, and because it's based on Mesoamerican mythology, like we have the goddess of death, so Micte, but they call her Santa Muerte. So yeah. And it's set around the time of the Dia de los Muertos celebration. And yeah, I really love that festival actually. I think it's like a really vibrant thing. It's one of the festivals that I want to experience for myself. Maybe someday. But yes, I'm loving the vibes, the cultural representation, and all the important themes that it's dealing with so far. And I'm looking forward to having a very successful readathon with all of these amazing books. Let me just hold them up. Yeah, with all of these amazing books this month, it's gonna be like a fantastic reading month. I can feel it. Okay, maybe not powerless, I'm unsure about this. But yeah, as for the others, I'm gonna really, really enjoy my time, and I hope you all enjoy your time if you're participating in this readathon too. Good luck to everyone, even if you don't complete it. As long as you have a good time, that's what matters. So I'll catch you later in my next video. Until then, 再见.